She has survived the scandals, the protests, and decades of public hatred. She fought for her place inside one of the most powerful institutions on Earth, and she won. But tonight, the victory may be over. Because according to royal protocol that cannot be changed, not even by King Charles himself, the moment the king dies, Camilla loses everything. Her title, her authority, her place at the center of the crown, and the man who decides what she gets next is not her husband. It is her stepson. And sources close to Prince William say he has already made his decision. To understand what is at stake, you have to understand how far Camilla has traveled to get here. In the 1990s, she was the most despised woman in Britain. The tabloids called her names that cannot be repeated. The public blamed her for the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage, and for everything that came after. When Diana died in 1997, Camilla's position became almost impossible. She was not welcome at the funeral. She was not permitted to appear publicly with Charles for years. And yet she persisted. She worked. She softened. She waited. By the time Charles was crowned king in May 2023, Camilla stood beside him in Westminster Abbey, crowned queen by his side, in a ceremony watched by billions. It was, by any measure, one of the most remarkable rehabilitations in modern royal history. Queen Elizabeth II herself had given her blessing in February 2022, writing publicly that it was her sincere wish that Camilla would be known as Queen Consort. The palace, the press, and eventually the public accepted her. She had arrived, and now that may be taken away. Here's what the royal rulebook says, and it is not kind to Camilla. Under long-standing royal and constitutional protocol, the title of queen belongs to the wife of the reigning monarch. The moment King Charles III dies, Camilla's title automatically changes. She will no longer be queen. She will become what is known as Queen Dowager, the widow of a former king. It is a title so obscure that the last person to hold it did so in the 1800s. It carries no constitutional authority, no power, no public function. And while Camilla may continue to attend events as a courtesy, every aspect of her public and private life, where she lives, what patronages she holds, which engagements she attends, will be reviewed and decided by the new monarch. That new monarch will be King William. Royal commentators have stated clearly, the decision belongs entirely to him. He can choose to be generous. He can choose to be cold. And those who have watched the relationship between William and Camilla for decades say the outcome is far from certain. Royal author Christopher Anderson, who has written extensively about the Windsor family, notes that William has always tolerated his stepmother, but that they have always had a tense relationship. He says Camilla has historically been a little afraid of William. That fear may not be unfounded. Prince Harry, in conversations reported by royal biographers, has shared that he expects William to be ruthless in protecting the monarchy's image when his time comes, and that anyone perceived as a liability could find themselves sidelined. Camilla was deeply involved in the conflicts that defined William and Harry's childhoods. She entered the royal family at a moment of profound grief, following the death of their mother. And while William has been publicly gracious privately, sources suggest his patience has limits. Reports from royal circles indicate that Camilla is acutely aware of her fragile position. She has, according to multiple sources, been encouraging Charles to maintain his role as king for as long as physically possible, because she knows that every day he reigns is a day she remains queen. The question of Camilla's future title may seem like a matter of ceremony, but it represents something far more significant. The moment the next generation of the monarchy decides who belongs inside the institution and who gets quietly moved to its edges. Royal historian Gareth Russell has pointed out that when William becomes king, the working royal family will be extraordinarily thin. With Harry and Meghan removed from active duties and the royal children still years from public engagements, William and Catherine will essentially be carrying the full weight of the crown alone. In that context, whether Camilla remains a visible working royal or retreats into a title-less widowhood will matter enormously to the image and the functioning of the institution. Britain is already asking questions about the monarchy's relevance, its cost, and its future. The treatment of Camilla by a future King William will be one of the first major signals of what kind of monarch he intends to be. So what does this mean for Camilla right now? It means she is living with a clock she cannot stop. Every morning that King Charles is unwell, every health update, every palace statement about the king's condition brings her one step closer to the day when she wakes up and she is no longer queen, the title she fought her entire life away. The title that cost her decades of public contempt will be stripped from her not as punishment but as simple protocol. And the man who will then decide her future is not the man who loves her. It is the man who grew up in the shadow of her relationship. Whether William treats Camilla with warmth or with coldness will define not just her final years, but his first chapter as king. Britain will be watching. The palace will be managing. And Camilla, for the first time in a long time, will have no power to influence the outcome. This is the royal story that the official palace communications will never tell you. This is Monarchy Uncensored. Subscribe, hit the bell. Because when this story moves, and it will move, and you need to be the first to know.